All right, Graham, so here we are. It begins. 6138, 8020, Panda. Got a little bit of the typical patina, brown patina that these silver dials get. I'm not exactly sure why, but they do. No damage to the subdials. Loom looks great. The tomato red tip here is faded to yellow, and that's typical for a watch that gets a lot of sun. But the great thing is that it didn't get any water. Beautiful loom. Beautiful loom. Correct. Its original bracelet looks like it might have been refinished, but the case back is good. Straight text case back. Yeah. Your crystal has a lot of fine scratches on it, so we'll be replacing that. Yeah, I don't see anything dreadful so far. Okay, well, let's get into it. Just a few seconds later, just one of the things that always sort of amazes me when I pull a bracelet off, because this has got to be cleaned. You see the gruck in there. Gruck! Let's keep degrucking. Well, first look. I mean, since I had it apart for the evaluation, you can see it's got the old... Somebody slopped in a lot of grease around here on the column wheel here, pillar wheel. It's hazy, dirty. I opened it up and it had, where is it? This was stuck to the case back, that little flake of crap. Oh, it's dirty. Balance wants to go. Yeah, a little bit of grunt there. Ceiling surfaces look okay. I guess let's hold this gasket out of here. Old junk gasket. MMF. Wonder who MMF was. But the ceiling surfaces look good. Okay, onward and upward. The button seals were still flexible, but they were old. They were the wrong kind. Somebody also had some fun. I don't know if we can see this here. Let's see. You can actually see they didn't have the right seal for this crown either, so they put in two O-rings, a thicker one and a thinner one, to kind of make do. I see that sometimes. But I do have the correct seals, so that won't be a problem. Yikes. Yeah, there was a lot of grossies underneath the buttons too. I don't know if you can really see all the filth in there. Look at all that. Yikes. Good stuff. Isn't that fun? Look at all the crap in there. Okay. Well, we found our first part. I found a first part that's going to need to be taken care of. This is what's left of your... sorry for the squeaking. Sebastian's running around after the dog. This is your movement ring spring, and as you can see, it is incomplete. There's a whole section that's just missing. So the ring is fine, but we're going to have to replace that ring, that spring. Case has definitely been refinished, but lightly, and the sealing surfaces are good. The case itself is dirty, of course, but the sealing surfaces being intact that's a real big deal. It is super filthy, but it'll go into the cleaner, and we'll go from there. Now, in the meantime, there is your movement, and you can see I've been resetting, and the 12-hour register doesn't move at all. So I'm going to have to see what's up with that. The other hands were also set more or less incorrectly. At least the sweep hand is to top dead center. And that's a huge deal. Everything else can be dealt with, but if that hand was misaligned, whew, blarf. Okay. We're down to the train bridge now, or they call it the barrel and train bridge. There's the ratchet wheel there, and you can see the grease that worked its way out of the mainspring barrel. Gross stuff. Disgusting. So, sorry for the screaming in the background. Let's see what else we've got in here. Come here. Come on. Let's see. Yeah, usual thing. You can see the grossness around that mainspring arbor. Typical garbage. You can see the winding mechanism there. That crown wheel has to come out. You can see the jewels there, and you can see it's dirty. It looks like this got a little bit of water inside. So you can see where it's sort of welled and caught up between the plates, but thank goodness, nothing major. Let's get that out of there. See if there's anything funky in there. You see your 3 wheels, and this is the ultra important chronograph wheel. Ultra super duper important. The whole game is over without that. Oh, would you stop it? Out we come. There you go. The heart of the whole business. 888-611. If this part's dead, whew, boy, you've got real problems. The top portion there, that's the finger. It pushes over the intermediate minute counter wheel. The middle stack section, those are the clutch plates. And the bottom section, that's the sort of the independently rotating fourth wheel section. And then, of course, there's the pinion. And that's how it works. Boy. Somebody once contacted me. It was like, well, isn't there some way for us to, find somebody who can remake these? And I'm like, I talked to some machinist. He wrote me, he said, hey, I bought a bunch of CNC machines from Citizen and old ones, and I can remake parts. And I'm like, and I sent him a couple of these things, bad ones, and I never heard from him again. That was the end of that. Got the mainspring barrel open, real typical black gruck in there from the S2 lubricant, which is what that looks like. This is the other side of the mainspring barrel, and you can see there that's the drive wheel that drives the 12-hour register. So we're going to see what's up with that, because remember, that thing was not moving, so we got to figure that out. Okay, working on the calendar. I have the screws all loose. I just wanted to show you this because this is one of these little things. There are 3 screws that hold the calendar plate on. So the calendar plate is this plate that sits on top of here. It's on top of the movement, and it holds the calendar elements and day and date and that kind of stuff. It is held onto the main plate by 3 screws. And you see how the screw has kind of a little dome to the head and sort of a frosted finish? It also has it's longer than a normal screw. These screws are the ones specific for this calendar. Seiko, as far as I know, only ever used this screw type on these 6138s in this position on the calendar plate and for Bellmatics. That was it. A lot of times when I see these screws are in different places, I'm like, whoever worked on this wasn't really thinking, and they just put in whatever screws they could get. And they mix the screws up, and that's usually a sign that something has not been worked on by somebody who knew what they were doing. But in this case, all the screws are correct. I don't know why Seiko did this, but they did. Onward and upward. Okay, so this is the lower mainspring arbor right here. That's where that sits, and that slipping gear on the bottom of the mainspring barrel turns this. This is the 12-hour wheel. You can see it here. Now, I'm not sure why this wasn't turning, because I just went and tested it. Still in place. We take this and let's just move it out of position here. That's the heart wheel, the cam. So if we look at that, the cam is supposed to end up pointing this way like that, right? So let's go in here. This is the reset lever. You can see those levers moving like that, right? So watch that heart wheel. See? Boop. So it's resetting the way that it ought to. Maybe the hand was just wrong. Maybe the hand was set wrong. Who knows? But I'll go through and we'll see. Well, that doesn't help. We look at the reset lever. It looks like water got into this button right here. Look at the rust. That does not help us. So I bet that's why it was binding up. I'll have to scrape that clean. I don't think it's any major damage. We've got a little bit of rust down here, but this is the face that really matters and the pin underneath that interacts with this lever. There's the 12-hour wheel. It looks intact and clean, but I bet you anything that's our issue. There's the stop lever right there. It's sort of the locking unlocking lever there, and this spring, which is super important. And this eccentric screw right there, that's another one of those little things that most people don't know about. Is that eccentric screw, the bulk of it, the lobe of it is supposed to be this way, and the slot is supposed to be facing directly towards that point right there, that port. Okay, let's go. So, I just thought this would be fun to show something really fast. I always talk about the mainspring barrel stuff, and you saw that black crap that was in there, and that was the old S2 lubricant. This is Seiko S2 mainspring grease, and it is, I believe, a graphite mixture. And there it is in all of its glory. So that's what we see. But despite this being black when new and black when it's old, the old stuff is dry and filled with contaminants. So obviously we have to change it. It's not like S2 is good forever. Anyway, there's the new S2. Okay, so I've got, I forgot to actually make some film while I was reassembling, but I was reminded because I ran into a problem. I have a bad part that is not one that one actually often sees. This winding pinion, the teeth are ground down. And so when you're trying to wind it, it skips. But I have a new one. There it is right there. So that's going to go in place of this one, and you'll get that bad part back, and we'll keep going. Okay. Okay, and because of course, you're not just going to have one gear go bad. So this is the winding pinion, okay? There's your winding pinion. It would normally sit right here. Imagine it's straight up and down, okay? So that one was all ground off and destroyed, and you'll notice that the teeth on this gear are also all damaged on the edge. So even with the replacement winding pinion, this intermediary gear is still bad. So what I'm going to need to do is, this is on a post that's a force fit. I'm going to have to pop that out of there and replace this, because I don't think I can flip it, which would be the next thing I would do. If I could flip it, it'd be fine, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But I do have a replacement, and so I'm going to replace just that wheel, and that'll cure our winding problem. So we're going to have a couple extra parts and repair labor on that one. So there you can see the old crown wheel with all of the hacked up teeth, and the new crown wheel, and that's where it's going to go, right there. Onward and upward it is. There's the new crown wheel in place. Good to go. See, look at how nice and clean those teeth are versus this hacked up piece of crap. Look at that. Hacked up piece of crap, new hotness. All right. Well, okay, I've gone through all my tests and I'm assembled. It's always fun to do this. I don't have any doubts of the outcome, but ever since the very first time, so many years ago, the first time I dropped the balance, and darn it if the thing didn't come to life. Hang on. I'm trying to show you this and do it at the same time. Sometimes that's tricky. Oh, why don't you stop fighting me? Yeah. Hang on just one second. I have to do this properly. See if I can try to get this over here where you can sort of see what I'm doing. Yeah. It's so nice to see it nice and clean. Anyway, yeah, that very first time I dropped a balance and it started to tick again. The watch started to come to life. Would you stop it? Stop fighting me. Oh, stop it. Obviously it wants to go. I'm just having trouble. Normally I'd be right on top of this when I was doing this. There we go. There we go. Now I just need a couple of screws. One screw. We've got... Come on. Like I said, normally I'm right on top of this when I'm doing this, instead of trying to do it live like this. Oh, would you stop it? Stop it. Normally also I would be wearing my, darn it, my finger cots, but they look so weird. There were a number of snide comments about me and my finger cots, so I stopped wearing them on camera. Somebody was like, dude, why are you wearing condoms on your fingers? And it's like, because whole gloves are terrible. The finger cots are hot enough. I mean, wearing entire nitrile gloves is just silly. Okay. And there you are. You can see she's running. There's... Sorry about that. So you can see as this thing is running, this is the minute counter wheel. This is the intermediate minute counter wheel. And you can see this finger is coming along here. This thing is like this sort of longish piece. So you can do adjustments because everything is really super important in terms of clearance. But as long as you get the basic, you bring it back to factory, generally it's going to be fine. You always look in this window to see where it's going to attack. Boop. Click, just like that. The way I always look for one of the first checks is you see this brass wheel right here? That middle finger should be right in the middle. That's where you want to see it. And that's usually a real good start. Look at the balance, looks nice. Okay, well, I just dropped it in. It's the end of the day. It's time for me to go. I guess I can put it on the Timegrapher and can see if I'm a failure or not. Be fun. Hang on just one second. Okay, so let's see what we're doing. I literally just dropped this in, so I mean it's just running now. I haven't adjusted it or anything. Okay, got a little bit of beat error. Signal's a little messy. Numbers are low, but it literally just started running in, so it's the end of the day, it's quitting time, so I'm going to pull the plug and cap this, and we'll come down here tomorrow and we'll see what it's doing. That's not a bad start. Good place to begin. We'll see how these numbers go. Okay, talk to you tomorrow morning. Well, one last part. This had looked a little suspect to me when I pulled it apart. This was all flattened out. This is your magic lever. This is the thing that as the winding weight goes around, it will wind the mainspring no matter which way it goes. This is a very simple and amazingly ingenious piece of design. I mean, those Swiss style ones with reducing gears and stuff, all these different finely manufactured parts, all this different stuff to achieve what this does with this little 3-part component. 1, 2, 3. But anyway, it's rare to see them die, but this one died. Right there. That got taken off so it wouldn't wind, which is probably why it was being hand wound all the time, because it wouldn't automatically wind, which is probably why the crown wheel and the winding pinion were dead. So that's garbage. Here's a new one. I'm gonna clean it up. It's got storage dust on it, and we'll install that. Okay, well, That last bit was from this morning. There were a whole bunch of videos in the middle of this process I forgot to take. But anyway, there is here are the bad parts. There's the crown wheel. There's the winding pinion. Oh, I have to hunt down your movement ring spring. And there are your old seals and the junk. But there it is. If you remember what this looked like before, it was gnarly. See how nice and beautiful and clean it is now? Isn't that nice? Isn't that what we want? That's so beautiful. Ready to go. It is interesting though to see the effects of a cascade failure where you have the magic lever fails, and that causes the crown wheel and the winding pinion to fail because they're being overused because this bit is dead. All better now. Well, let's look at the front, okay? I really am a noodle head. I forgot about finding the movement ring spring, which I did find here, but then I was like, wait a minute, something was tickling my mind here. And here's your movement ring spring. See on this side, see how it's got that kind of like shelf in, it's like got that sort of, I don't know, sort of steps in there. And I'm like, wait a second, these things aren't supposed to have that. It's supposed to be flat on the bottom. It's the wrong ring entirely. It's for 6139. This is what is supposed to go in there. That is what is supposed to be there. Because it sits against the flat underside of the dial ring. So it's going to be a ring and a spring together. Actually, it's going to be this one specifically because it's wide. It's got a wide port here. That's a narrow port. It's got to be a wide port, flat bottom, slim profile to fit in this. So that's what we got to do. And there we are. It looks so pretty. It's so nice seeing these things when they're nice and clean, don't you think? There was a lot of corrosion on for the 12-hour counter. The hammer assembly, which was over here, you push it and it goes over. There was rust on the main plate. There was rust on the underside of the calendar plate. There was rust on both sides of the lever. It had been cemented in place, which is why it wasn't moving. What is today? Today's the 18th, right? Come on. Today's Thursday the 18th. That goes in. That goes out. Let's go back to the classic time setting. And now, that's the real triumph. Because before it would go click, it was like you could feel it just skipping and skipping and skipping because of all the damage that was in there. Anyway. Cool. Okay. That's about it. All right. Thank you so much, Graham. I look forward to getting this one back to you and onto your wrist where it ought to be. Okay.